We've already gotten a lot of rain. How much more are we expecting today, Brent?
Kimberly, it's going to be a lot. So several more inches of rainfall. In fact, it's really just getting started for some of you this afternoon. Been getting some more photos in right now. Water rising in Pembroke as you head towards Giles County. Tanya sent that message in. And this is really the view. You get all this heavy rain over the same areas. And we've kind of been alluding to this the past couple days. The rain that's moving in today, honestly, is going to be coming down heavier than what Florence's rain came down. It's just not going to last quite as many hours. Flash flooding, the biggest risk today. Strong wind, that will also be a problem. And there's a slight tornado risk as well. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But you can see the areas that have gotten the heaviest. Galax extending into the New River Valley, where we've had 3 to 6 inches of rain already, and there's additional rain that's still moving in. We have about 7 more hours of the potential for heavy rain as this cold front moves in. It's interacting with Michael, kind of squeezing out that rain right over top of us, and it's going to be an active afternoon. Primarily the heaviest through the New River Valley this morning, and now we're starting to see that move pretty much along the Blue Ridge and then interact with the mountains. So it's going to be quite active with downpours and tropical downpours at that, causing flash flooding. Anywhere you see those yellows and reds on the radar, if you're looking at that on our weather app, pretty much guaranteed that you're going to have some ponding water and even some flash flooding. That continues through the New River Valley, where you've already had over 5 inches of rain in some cases over the past 24 hours, with that rain just banking up right along the Blue Ridge. Into the east, Danville, non-stop rain, but you're getting some of these waves of heavier rain, and that's one of the concerns. And as we go through the afternoon, we'll start to see that expand even into Lynchburg. So here's the forecast model. We'll push this ahead. Model has a pretty good handle on the timing of this. 2 o'clock, still heavy rain, widespread. We'll push this ahead to about 4 or 5 o'clock. Most of the heaviest of rain over pretty much the I-81 corridor, Blue Ridge, into Lynchburg and Danville. Not quite as heavy west of the I-77 corridor. 5 o'clock, a very wet drive home. Probably going to have some ponding water and some detours too. So just please be aware of that and make sure you look out for those watered in the roadways. 6 o'clock, still some heavy rain. 8 o'clock, we start to see the worst of it move out of our region, with drier weather quickly moving in on the backside of this. And after sunset and into the evening, we would expect conditions to improve. So no additional rain, but of course some residual side effects from the heavy rain that we saw today. Still thinking the worst conditions, the worst flood risk, and the heaviest of rain is going to be pretty much from Martinsville all the way to Gretna, Pennsylvania, Halifax County, into Charlotte County, where we could see over 6 inches of rain there. And even along the Blue Ridge, we're talking about a good maybe 2 to 4 inches of rain. So that's certainly something we're going to have to watch closely. The rivers have already been coming up. The New River expected to have some minor flooding. Also, the New River at Radford quickly going up with the potential for moderate flooding. Dan River at Danville and Dan River South Boston also going to be experiencing some significant flooding in the moderate stage. That would be by Friday afternoon. Anywhere east of the Blue Ridge Parkway is where we're seeing the heaviest of rain right now, and we have some severe storms and even the potential for a tornado right now across the south side, where we've got right now a tornado warning that is in effect for another probably about 25 minutes, ends at about 4:30. It's within the cell right in here, pretty much the southern and southeastern portion of Pennsylvania County, including the city of Danville. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you in a little closer to give you an idea of where this is. Approaching Ringgold is where, just to give a little perspective, if you live in that area, near Ringgold, there's Dan River High School. The airport's down here. At the airport, there was a 52-mile-per-hour wind gust that was registered just a little bit ago as this cell is making its way down. So it is tracking this way, Mountain Hill, and will eventually head into North Carolina. But guys, if you are in that area, you need to be in a safe shelter right now. The rain extremely heavy as we track towards the north, and then this is a brand new tornado warning. It's just outside of our coverage area, but in Lunenburg and also Prince Edward County. I think this gives us an idea that this is a very volatile area right in here that you're seeing, from Charlotte County all the way to Halifax County, Pennsylvania County. Right in here is where this whole system is rotating. And that's where we're seeing the center of circulation just to the south. So this whole thing is moving just like that. And that's where we're starting to see some of those spin ups occur. Winds have come down a little bit now in the Danville. So earlier when we showed you this, they were at 53 miles per hour in Danville. The gusts were. So these are wind gusts. Even next door in Martinsville, getting those gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour. The Roanoke River has been rapidly rising today, very reminiscent of something that happened back during 1985 with the flood that just came very quickly up. And one thing I want to show you is that right now it's at 14 feet, so we're already in moderate flood stage. It's already flooding, moderate flooding. Flood stage was actually 10 feet, so it's well above that. The forecasted crest right now, if it continues, is expected to get up to 19 feet. The record is 23 feet that was set back in the flood of 85. So it's a couple feet shy of that. Now, I know there's been a lot of work that's been done along the Roanoke River, so I don't want you to expect exactly what happened during the flood of 85, because they've done some amazing work to help to mitigate some of that flooding and to keep it from flooding in places that it used to. However, you got to take it seriously, the fact that that's a pretty high number, that it could get close. If it gets to 19 feet, it would actually be the highest that it's been since we had some tropical systems in the 1970s. We're not even close to being finished with that rain over central Virginia and across the Piedmont. So we've got several more hours, probably not until about 7 or 8 o'clock tonight in Keysville, South Boston, before we start to see the back edge of that. But in the Roanoke Valley, New River Valley, that rain is letting up as we speak. We should hopefully start to see those creeks crest and begin to go down later on tonight. But the rivers, of course, will continue coming up. The other thing we've been keeping a close eye on, too, is right now the circulation of this, of course, there's a rotating storm is moving right through the Piedmont, the south side, and that's where we've had some potential strong wind. So actually no potential. There's been 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts in portions of Pittsylvania County, and we still have the potential for a spin-up tornado there. So I can't totally rule that out. That's why that severe thunderstorm warning is in place, and we've got another severe thunderstorm warning that's also in a place for Appomattox, Campbell, Charlotte, and again the ones in Halifax and Pennsylvania because of these bands that are coming through. Now, I will tell you the other issue that we have that is ongoing and will be, because we still have that flooding, is there's a flash flood emergency for the city of Danville and also southeastern Pennsylvania County. That basically means that the National Weather Service has been working with the emergency managers to designate an area basically of worst case scenario is unfolding there in Danville because of that heavy rain. That's the back edge of the rain right in here, and that's actually putting an end to some of that heavier rain through the NRV and the Roanoke Valley. I'll put the 3-hour loop on, and you can see just how it's advancing gradually to the east. The one area, again, I'm concerned about is along the Blue Ridge, because we've got those mountains, and you can see the rain's coming in this way. It hits up against the mountains, squeezes out that rain, so we could still have several more inches of rain possible along the Blue Ridge Parkway and on the eastern side of that, and as we track off to the east. The other thing we are also watching is the severe threat too, because we still have the potential for some stronger storms. It looks like the Weather Service has allowed those warnings to expire, which is certainly good news. The flash flood warnings continue, but the severe thunderstorm warnings look like those have come down now. But still, a couple of these cells could produce some strong winds. I wanted to give you just an overview, a perspective on just how much we've seen in a short amount of time. We're talking 6 inches of rain in metro areas, in Danville, in Roanoke, where that rain really doesn't have a whole lot of places to go. So it just runs off, and through the New River Valley, we've had upwards of 5 and 6 inches of rain. Flooding will be ongoing because of that water draining from the mountains, from the creeks into those rivers. Speaking of, I want to show you, this is a picture from the Roanoke River from Roanoke Memorial Hospital that we got from Sam Doyle. So you're looking down from the hospital. This is the parking lot there where folks would be parking to go and visit folks that are in the hospital. This, of course, would be the road, would be Franklin Road there. They would be going there, and again, in Jefferson as well in that area. So the river itself would be right over here, flooding the Greenway, all in this area. So avoid the Roanoke River or going any of those streets nearby, because it is certainly flooding. The river's coming up so fast that the river forecast centers are having a hard time getting updated data out. So these numbers are going to be changing. We'll be updating you, and of course putting those on our weather app as well as on social media and here on air. But the key with this is that the Roanoke River is going to go up a few more feet, cresting at about 19 feet overnight tonight. So it's going to go up a couple more feet. The New River at Radford is going to go up a little more through Friday morning with some moderate flooding, and major stage flooding expected Dan River River at Danville. These are the ones that are going up so fast that, to be quite honest, I think it's going to blow these numbers out of the water. No pun intended with that, because this is really just happening so fast and along the Dan River, already at moderate flood stage. It's probably going to be well over major and perhaps even record-setting flooding there. So the other thing that we've been looking at are the wind gusts, and they've been in that 30 to 40 mile per hour range closest to the storm itself. We've seen those higher numbers and along the ridge tops. So regardless of once this thing moves out of here, we had a front that's coming in, and when we get these fall fronts, you get breezy conditions. So this is just adding to the problems tonight, because we've got that wet ground along with the winds that are going to be sustained at about 15 to as much as 30 in the higher elevations, and we could still have those gusts as high as 60, especially in some of those high wind warning areas. We did set a record today along the Dan River at Danville. It got up to 29 feet so far today with 6 inches of rain. That tops the all-time record set back during Hurricane Fran back in 1996, where it got up to 28 feet. And it's going to continue rising too. We're going to take a closer look at those river levels. I'm getting the latest data in from the Hurricane Center, from the River Center, along with that heavy rain that continues to filter in to those creeks and streams. That's why we still have a flash flood warning that's in effect for the city of Danville, just because they're still experiencing some ongoing flooding there, even though the rain has moved on out. The other issue that we're going to be dealing with tonight is the wind, and those winds have been quite gusty, anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour. I've seen a couple gusts as high as 40 miles per hour, and we'll likely see those continue to about mid-morning tomorrow. That's when those wind advisories will expire.
From the Lynchburg Roofing Weather Center, here's your hometown forecast.
We've been hearing from AEP. They're having a hard time because the wind is still up there trying to get that power restored, but be patient out there. The winds will eventually go down tomorrow. I thought I'd put on the temperature map, the radar, and you can see the temperatures that have been dropping quickly as that cool air rushes in back behind what's left of Michael, and that sets the stage really for a change in the air, a very dry stretch of weather for us. And when you get that cool air that comes in, you automatically get some wind, and plus you add the tropical system to that, and you get even more. I put the loop on. You can see how this thing progressed through the region today at a pretty good clip. And of course, this is sped up quite a bit, obviously, but you can see how that rain just moved in hour after hour, hit up against the mountains along with that front. They kind of took it out of the region very quickly. A lot different from what we had during Florence, that the rainfall totals in some cases were still what we had today, just over a longer period of time. So we always say it's not always about the amount that you get, but the duration that you get that rainfall in. And today it was impressive. Over 5 inches in South Roanoke, but here at the airport in the Roanoke Valley, only 2 1/3 inches. So it was a big difference from place to place. Lynchburg about 3, Danville in the city got about 6 inches of rain, Blacksburg 2.5, and Smith Mountain Lake about 3 inches of rain there. And then you look at other locations, Daleville picking up about 2.5, close to 4 in Rocky Mount, where we had a lot of flooding, Copper Hill and Floyd over 6 inches of rain, Ferrum, even Hardy 4 or 5 inches. So it was all about location today, but everybody got soaked. Lesser amounts as you headed toward the north of the Roanoke Valley and then more toward the south. Now this evening, the big story is the wind that is still quite strong. Those gusts 45 miles per hour now in Hot Springs. Even in the Roanoke Valley, we've got those winds gusting anywhere from 20 to 35 miles per hour. Wind advisories remain in effect until 11 a.m. tomorrow. That basically means we could have winds that gust upwards of 40 miles per hour, and those sustained winds are going to be quite high too. You notice that as we go through the morning, they start to go down, but not going to go completely calm until very late in the day. So if you do have some plans to venture out tomorrow morning, just please be aware it's going to be cool when you wake up, and it's also going to be quite blustery too. In the 50s already and close to some 40s there in Hot Springs, and that's where I'm expecting those temperatures to get to tonight. You can kind of see the dividing line right there where all that cool air begins to settle in. So skies clearing out. Gusty winds tonight as well as through the day tomorrow. Breezy, much cooler. Daytime highs only in the 50s in Hot Springs, and we're talking about 60s elsewhere. And I can tell you one thing too, we are going to notice a cool night for those high school football games for Friday Football Extra tomorrow night. The fields are going to be quite wet. And hopefully with that wind and that sun tomorrow, we can dry them out. But I think it's probably still going to be a little soggy on the ground. Winds are going to be about 5 to 10 miles per hour, so not that windy, but probably one of the cooler nights that we've had in quite some time when it comes to high school football games. So just prepare for that. I'll also tell you that it looks like that we are going to stay rather cool over the next couple days, staying into the 40s at night. Daytime highs in the 60s, and it does look like that we're going to have a cool stretch of weather that's going to last for at least a week. And the leaves, I can guarantee you, we're going to notice some big pops in the leaves over the next couple of days and a couple of weeks with this cool down that's on the way. I know we've been waiting for that, and I think with these cool nights and sunny days, we're finally going to see some changes.